Hey, Dog Nation. Happy Wednesday evening to you. Welcome into this Kroger Commitment Special. My name's Brandon Adams. I'm happy to be back with you again. It feels like we haven't maybe done this in a little while. Once you kind of get into the rhythm of the season, it becomes more about the team on the field. But obviously today, a potentially very big day for the Georgia Bulldogs or some other deserving team in the world of recruiting, as four-star tight end Oscar Delp, one of the top 3 tight ends in the country according to the 24/7 Sports Composite, one of the top 10 players in the state of Georgia and one of the top 100 players in the entire country, gets set to make his decision at a ceremony to take place at his school there at West Forsyth. We'll show you live coverage, a little bit of a peer-in on that here, and in just a moment we'll go live to Delp as he gets ready to make his announcement here this evening. And, of course, it is a pleasure to have you with us. This has been a long-building recruitment and really one of the most intense recruitments of this 2022 cycle, with obviously Georgia feeling good about its place in the Delp brace for the entirety of this process. Other schools a part of that there as well. And obviously for our discussions here as part of this Kroger Commitment Special, we will for the most part focus in on the Georgia part of this. And one of the things that you can't help but talk about when you talk about Oscar Delp is the way in which the Georgia offense has grown over the course of the last season and a half with Todd Monken as offensive coordinator, and in particular the way in which the tight end position has become a bigger part of this story there as well. Georgia in the second half of the 2020 season especially finding a way to distribute the football to former 5-star tight end Darnell Washington. Big game, for instance, against Missouri at the end of last season, possibly a precursor for a guy like Delp, what he might be able to do in this Georgia offense. As we get ready to show you the scenes here from West Forsyth High School in a moment, let's remind you a little bit of Kirby Smart's really very matter-of-factly stated belief that tight ends will be a part of the Georgia offense. They want good tight ends, and they want to find a way to be creative in the way that those players are used. Obviously, when Smart said these things back in December of 2020, you have to imagine a guy like Delp was paying attention to that. So before we hear his commitment in a moment, let's hear a little bit about what got us to this point. First of all, Kirby on tight ends.
Coach Monken really likes using multiple tight end sets. It's done a lot in the NFL. And if you can mismatch people and, have ability to run the ball, but then also flex them out and throw the ball, it's really frustrating. If you go back to that play, the corner went over, the safety had to play to Darnell. And he's saying, wait a second now, I got a Darnell on a safety, and those guys don't cover for a living. He made a nice throw, but you can never have enough good tight ends in the SEC because they're big, they're athletic, they can catch the ball. There's so many things they can do. So it's one of those things that we want as many as we can get, and we want to get them the ball.
So obviously with Smart saying that as emphatically he did back in December of 2020, it sets the stage for where we are today. And really later on in the 2021 season, there was even more chatter like that from Kirby Smart. The audio quality on this is not great, to be frank, but the message is undeniable. Once again, Smart reiterating what he'd said the previous December, that Georgia wants to be a place where tight ends are used, where the very best tight ends in the country come and they get a chance to get the football because of the way in which Georgia's offense distributes the ball here now. It seems more true because, as we said before, not just what Darnell Washington did starting in 2020 and what he did a little bit on Saturday against Auburn, but also what freshman tight end Brock Bowers has done here during the 2021 season as well. More of Kirby Smart on that.
We need tight ends like him if we're going to be elite. We have to have more guys like him. And there's guys out there across the country that we got to get in order to be elite at the tight end position, and he's become a really good weapon.
That's obviously talking about Brock Bowers, the way that he's become a weapon for Georgia and the opportunity for what other tight ends could potentially do. In this case, Oscar Delp there as well. Of course, when it comes to Kirby and possibly the idea of a subtweet and a mention without mentioning the name but mentioning the idea of what a guy like Delp could do in the Georgia offense. Smart hasn't been the only SEC coach that's been doing that. Shane Beamer, as we talked about before, using his podium time at SEC Media Days, getting a chance to talk about anything he wanted to in his opening statement, made a statement that was very much thought to be an homage in the direction of Delp. Now, by SEC rule, or really NCAA rule, coaches can't mention prospective student athletes, so you're not allowed to mention a recruit's name, but there's no doubt that Beamer was referencing Delp with some of his comments there back in July from SEC Media Days to give you an idea of how intense the competition has been for those that want to wrestle Delp out of the state of Georgia, including the Gamecocks. Here is Shane Beamer with what was largely viewed as an attempt to do just that.
Tight end position, that's a position that's near and dear to me, something that I've coached for the last 5 years in my career. We are always going to utilize the tight end. Every donor or booster club event that I go to, that's the one question I get asked: are you going to throw the tight end? We are going to throw to the tight end. We want the premier tight ends in America, and that's the way that we're recruiting right now as well, to go get those guys as well. We've utilized those guys in the past when I've been at Oklahoma, and we will continue to. One of those tight ends is here today in Nick Muse, a fantastic older player for us, and then Jaheim Bell is another one that we have high hopes for as well. But that position will always be a key part of our offense at South Carolina.
So very interesting there from Shane Beamer, saying that we want, that was, part of a social media campaign that South Carolina had put together, and a lot of Gamecocks fans had done the "We Want Delp" or the "Delp Wanted" hashtag. That had been a big part of what had gone on there. And clearly that was Shane Beamer trying to do the same kind of thing at SEC Media Days going back to July on all that. We'll tell you we're having a little bit of a technical issue there in West Forsyth right now. Hope to get that rectified here in just a moment. We'll show you the scenes on site there for that in just a little bit from West Forsyth as Oscar Delp gets ready to make his decision here coming up in just a moment. And so we'll follow that and kind of see how that goes here as Delp gets ready to make his choice. Jamie says he's going to make his mama proud and choose the Dogs, and Jamie's watching here on DogNation.com, and obviously this was one of the things that Delp himself has said, going back to conversations he's had with Jeff Sintel. There we go. Great look there live at the scene, right on time from West Forsyth High School. And if you want to bring that up a little bit just in case if there's something we need to hear. If it's
down a little bit, but we're going to come out and talk.
All right, we'll bring that back down for now. Thank you for that, and we'll turn it back up in a minute. You see the hats on the table: Michigan, Georgia, South Carolina, Clemson. Those are the 4 hats there on the table. And as Jamie was saying a moment ago, that Delp, and you see the family all draped around him there, going to make his family proud. Delp, when he's talked to our Jeff Sintel in the past, one of the things that he said is that family would be a crucial part of his decision, and he's really praised the way in which Georgia has recruited not just himself but his family there as well. Before we hear Delp in his own words make his decision in just a moment, let's go back and hear Delp with Jeff Sintel talking about the recruiting process and the way that his family was such a big part of that. Can we hear Oscar on that for a moment? No, we're not quite ready to hear Oscar Delp on that. Let's see if we can do that right now. All right, here's Delp.
He's been very consistent. We talk almost every day. We text every day, call every other day. I mean, we're always talking on the phone. The Georgia coaches have definitely won my parents over, or definitely my mom. I mean, she got, I think, 15 cards on Mother's Day from all of them, and she loved all that. That's going to be a big thing with the recruiting process, I think. With my parents, they're definitely going to be a big influence in my decision. I'm going to make it in the end, but I mean, I'm going to listen to them a lot. But I mean, they like Georgia a lot right now, just from the connections that they have with the coaches. I mean, my mom's like, I don't want to send my baby off to some random, doesn't know the coach that well. I mean, they've definitely won my mom over. I'll say that.
So good stuff from Delp there, saying that the family had been won over by those Georgia coaches. Let's keep the shot there on West Forsyth, please. Yeah, thank you very much. They had been won over by the Georgia coaches that worked on winning over that family and getting their attention and making them feel loved with the Mother's Day. We can keep the sound down for right now just till we hear something else going on, but yeah, let's just make sure we can see it there. So, yeah, just the entire thing has just been a big, big build-up for all of this with Georgia coaches working hard on the family, working hard on Delp himself. You see Delp there take a moment to pick up the Georgia hat. Now he picks up the Michigan hat there as well. So for the hat science folks out there, they can read into that what they want to. Almost a little bit of a shell game there, looking at all those hats. It's always fun to kind of think about that. And now they're going to get those arranged exactly the way they want them to. Always fun to see how that plays out. I'll remind you, this is a Kroger Commitment Special. And don't forget, before Delp makes his choice here coming up in just a moment, let us also remind you that as you're getting ready for Halloween, Kroger a great place to go to get everything you need to get stocked up for all of that, whether it be the decorations, the candy, everything else. Big savings, up to 30% off right now, by the way. Kroger.com/Halloween for a lot more on that. Kroger.com/Halloween for a lot more on that. So if you're interested in the hat science part of this, let's see. So sometimes people Want to know if he's left-handed or right-handed. That's the hat that he's going to reach for. Georgia does get the middle. Seems like South Carolina is the school we've heard about a little bit more here, with Michigan and Clemson kind of on the periphery there. Does he go straight for the Georgia hat here? How are people feeling about that in the Facebook comment section? Henry Brooks says they're touching that Michigan hat a lot. There was a little touching on the Michigan hat there a moment ago. Certainly noticed that. Justin Minton making the comparison between Delp and Bowers. I think the most appropriate thing to say here is that the athleticism of Bowers and the way that he's been used thus far, including another big catch for Georgia on Saturday against Auburn, I think that gives you a real window into how Delp could be used. As we said on Dog Nation Daily today, that in previous times like this, when we were doing these kinds of recruiting announcements, or when we were talking about prospects like this in the recruiting process, it was all about, hey, imagine how you might be used at a place like Georgia. Boy, if we had a guy like you, we'd really use you, and you can come here, and we haven't been thrown to the tight end, or we haven't been exploding on offense, but when you come here, all that's going to change. And maybe that works, maybe it doesn't. I think what works better is, okay, here is some film of a guy wearing our uniform doing some of the things that we believe that you are going to be able to do. I just think that's a much more effective a much more effective recruiting pitch all the way around, and that's what Delp gets from Georgia now, because Washington did have the impressive freshman season, is now back from injury, looking to build on that. Brock Bowers in the midst of his own impressive freshman season right now, looking to build on that even more. Brian Lardner, in fact, echoing this on Facebook, saying, come to Georgia, we love the tight ends. And, historically, this is a program that has loved the tight end. There have been a lot of good ones in the program over the years, and now that's back to being a big part of the Georgia offense, because I would give Todd Monken a lot of credit for that. I'd also give quarterbacks credit for that. JT Daniels, when he's been healthy, he's been a distributor of the tight end position. Stetson Bennett, when he has been healthy, when he's been the guy in there for Georgia, he's been doing that there as well. So you've got capable quarterbacks that are looking to distribute the football, an offensive system that maximizes the talent that's there. And if you're a Georgia fan, and obviously if you're tuned into this, you probably are, but if you're a Georgia fan, you are certainly eager to see if all of that has swayed Delp and gotten him excited about being a part of all of this here in just a bit. Over here on YouTube for a moment, Kirby's Visor says, with everything going on at Georgia right now, on the field and with Todd Monken use the tight end a lot more, I can't see Delp not staying home. And yeah, I mean, that's certainly what you hope, and I'm not going to pretend not to be optimistic about this as he gets ready to make his decision. And you see those hats there on the table at different times. And by the way, nice little shot there, Connor Riley right there in the middle of the screen. But at different times, we've made the case for South Carolina. Certainly they made an effective recruiting pitch during the summer. At one point in time, Delp talked openly about his desire to take that visit to Clemson. Obviously, Michigan, the kind of program that's produced Mackey Award winners and used the tight end before. So there's cases to be made for the other three hats on the table. But around here, we have heard the very prolific case for Georgia along the way, too. Chris Duncan says, looks like he had a Georgia phone case. So that's one thing about our audience, man. They don't miss anything. It does appear to be red. If you want to take your thumbs on your screen, zoom in a little closer, and see if that is a little bit of a giveaway there. It may be. Sometimes gear is not a giveaway. We see players wear the mouthpiece for the team. They don't end up going there, or the gloves for the team. They end up not going there. We see that happen from time to time. But maybe a phone case, if that indeed were to be that, might be a little different there too. We should be getting very close, by the way, to this announcement going down. Let's see if we can bring that noise back up, as natural sound, as they say in the business. And let's see if – all right, looks like we are getting close here. I may get ready to drop out, and we may get ready to hear Delp make his announcement. You can tell – I always feel for the families here, because they're obviously so nervous. They're not used to being on streaming video like this, being seen by tens of thousands of people.
We are live
and we'll check in now. West Forsyth High School, as Oscar Delp gets ready to make his college decision. 4-star tight end.
Tight ends in the nation. It is Oscar Delp. He's going to make his big college decision live here on Fox 5 tonight. It's a pleasure to be here. You can see the hats up there. Michigan, Georgia, South Carolina, and Clemson. He'll be making the call in just a minute. But first, let's get to our recruiting expert, 24/7 Sports, Rusty Mansell. And Rusty, tell me about Oscar. What makes him such a special player?
Nation's number 2 rated tight end, 6'5", 227 pounds, all the terms, fluid route runner, catch radius, 78-inch wingspan. He's got it all. He's extremely talented, easy choice for us for an All-American on 24/7 Sports.
And all these colleges are looking at him pretty hard, right?
35 plus offers. It comes down to these four. Somebody's about to get an extremely talented football player.
All right, Oscar, it is your time.
First, I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. I'm extremely blessed to be in the position I'm in today. I want to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, for everything he's done for me. I'd like to thank my mom, my dad, and my family for believing me and being there every step of the way this journey. Additionally, I'd like to thank all my current and former coaches, teammates, friends, and teachers who have believed in me and helped me into the player and person I am today. Finally, I'd like to say thank you to every college for recruiting me and giving me the opportunity to play at the next level. With that being said, let me continue my academic and athletic career at University of Georgia. Go Dogs!
Delp is a dog. Let's hear what he has to say.
Tell me why Georgia and when did you know?
I knew since the start of the recruitment. I was really just waiting to watch them play the game and seeing what they did with Bowers this year and what they're going to do with me. I think is going to be special. I feel at home there. It's just gut feeling and a perfect fit.
We talked off air. You said your relationship with Todd Hartley, the tight end coach, was a big deal. What's it like? What makes him different than the others?
He's a family man. He's always talked to me and my family. He's developed some of the best players that I've ever watched, and he's got an insane tight end route right now. And he develops players, and I think he's going to develop me and get me ready for the next level.
I've got a quick question, Rusty, because Oscar's mother, Mary, she's a South Carolina grad, right?
Correct.
South Carolina called Oscar out this week. The fans have been going crazy. How is this for you? How excited are you for him?
I am very excited for his choice. I think that UGA is where he belongs. My heart struggles because I love Coach Beamer and I love my Gamecocks. So I'll just kind of be torn. But I could not be more happy. I agree with him. It's felt like home since the beginning of the recruitment process. The coaches, the recruiting staff, everyone there, there was almost never a question that he should be anywhere else.
It's just what Georgia needs, a good tight end, right? They have so many. You talked about Brock Bowers, Oscar. Tell me about what they've done with him as a freshman and how that influenced your decision.
I think I'm a very similar player to him, and just for us both to be able to be on the same offense at the same time, I think it's going to be a really deadly thing.
And that means playing inside, on the line, a little bit all over the place, right?
Everywhere.
All right. Oscar Delp is going to be a Georgia Bulldog 4-star tight end. Picks the Dogs, they're celebrating in Athens right now, Coach Kirby Smart, right, Rusty?
Yeah, no doubt. Oscar, I think it was 15 months ago, your first game your junior year, you literally blew up. Talk about that moment to right now. How crazy has it been for you?
This is a dream come true. I've thought about this since I was a little kid, and ever since that breakout game in the Corky Kell, Michigan offered, and then everything just kind of happened itself after that. I'm so thankful to be on a team that uses me like this with this coaching staff and these players, and for me to get the ball and contribute and just get recognized.
He's a Georgia dog. All right, one more time for Oscar Delp, who is committed.
So I will tell you here as we come back, and we're going to chat with Jeff Sintel here in just a moment on Delp. Get the scenes from the room there. I'll tell you two things that I love about that. First of all, there was really very little pomp and circumstance of the decision at all. There were 4 hats on the table, but Delp doesn't waste any time in choosing the Georgia Bulldogs there on that. Just a very, very strong announcement. You see the Georgia T-shirts come out, and that was a great thing to see. Very honest moment from Mrs. Delp, where she said as an alumna of South Carolina, her heart was torn, but there was never any doubt that Georgia was the right place for her son, which goes to show you just how effective the recruiting pitch is to UGA. We heard Delp a moment ago in his own words saying that his parents had been effectively recruited by Georgia. You assume that he meant his mom because of her obvious ties to South Carolina, which she mentioned. And when Georgia still wins a battle for a player whose mom obviously has great affection for South Carolina, mentions Shane Beamer by name there, you know the pitch is working really well. And here's the other thing. And y'all know, because maybe many of you listen or watch Dog Nation Daily, that, you know, I love these big recruiting wins for Georgia. And if Georgia goes to California and gets a guy like Brock Bowers, obviously we're thrilled about that. Go to Nevada, get a guy like Darnell Washington, we're thrilled about that. I'm telling you right now, though, there is something about being in a school, is it cafeteria, gym, whatever it is, there at West Forsyth. And when the announcement is Georgia, You can hear the thunderous applause. You can hear the roars that come out. You can hear the excitement that exists. And Georgia went to that school last year, West Forsyth, for Dylan Fairchild, a terrific offensive lineman who's got a very bright future ahead of him at Georgia. And we'll go ahead and try to see if we can get Jeff here on the phone and see if we can talk to him for a moment. But when you are in a place like the Metro Atlanta area, at a place like that where there are so many Georgia fans, so much excitement about the idea of one of your own choosing UGA, the roars, the applause, everything that you get from that, it's just such an incredible thing to see. And so while we celebrate the national recruiting wins that Georgia gets, and they've gotten plenty of them, as of late, it has also been fun to watch the way that Georgia is cleaning up in-state with the very best prospects in the state of Georgia. Truly, it's a great thing to be able to see, and it's a great thing to be able to cover for you as a part of our Kroger commitment special here today. As we said before, Jeff Sintel on the scene there at West Forsyth High School. We will talk to him coming up in just a moment. While we wait to get Jeff on the phone, we'll take a couple of your comments here or there as well. Lil Scales says, welcome to the family, and obviously Georgia fans do treat these recruits like they're part of the family, and no doubt the Delp family has felt that. Marvin Fairley says, we keep winning. Let me see if I can get this here. Marvin Fairley says, we keep winning. We'll get more like this. I'm thinking a big-time receiver is next. And obviously, then, yeah, great-looking shot there of the Delp commitment edit there from Dog Nation. So that's a beautiful thing to be able to see. And as Marvin said, maybe a big receiver is next. Obviously, attention turns to 5-star wide receiver Luther Burden, who is going to be expected to be in Athens on Saturday for the Georgia game against Kentucky. So that's maybe the next exciting thing to think about there. Richard Pollard also mentioning, like I did, that it's straight to the point. Yeah, there wasn't a lot of games being played, not a lot of showmanship to that. It's just simply the 4 hats. You know where I'm going. I'm going to Georgia, and sometimes it's that simple. The hat goes on, and that was a great thing to. That's a great thing to see. Paul Moon and the subject of Burden. Yeah, I believe that's the story there that he's rolling in to do that. So I believe that's what's going to go down there on that. More comments coming in here on the YouTube side of things there as well. We'll get some of those rolling in here. Jermaine King also pointing out that Burden himself is getting pretty close to a commitment decision. So Georgia fans right on schedule. After the one big commit, there's always that next discussion of what's happening next, and that's clearly one of the names that's on folks' mind coming up next. So Croking 123 mentions Todd Hartley, says pay that man whatever he wants, and it is pretty remarkable just how quick that Hartley has risen the ranks of being among Georgia's most effective recruiters, especially a position group like that where you're not recruiting as many tight ends as you are, like, say, wide receiver, defensive back. But Hartley's been amazing, and he's very, very fast, making a very, very strong name for himself. With all of that in mind, let's now check back in at West Forsyth High School with Jeff Sintel. Terrific coverage of all of this, a guy that's gotten to know Delp well over the years there too. Jeff, it was a fun scene. We appreciate your coverage of this a moment ago. What was it like to see it in person?
Yeah, it was kind of cool, Brandon. The little things started to come out. I think you're live on site, and there was a couple of ladies. It looked like they would fall into the friend, neighbor, or aunt category, maybe, to the Delp family. And they had a couple of red T-shirts on with Delp as a dog. Before the announcement, it was almost like, I don't know what you thought about it, Brandon, but the way he got that announcement out was kind of at the pace that Todd Monken wants to run his offense really in a 4-minute drill. Very fast, very precise.
Very little pomp and circumstance to it at all, Jeff. We said that, as a matter of fact, before you joined us, that it was interesting that sometimes these are true shows, true productions where there's a swerve or an intent to maybe make folks guess a little longer. Delp really had no interest in doing that tonight.
Yeah, it was cool because the South Carolina was a second-place team. They were actually the runner-up or the bridesmaid here. I know you would call it the silver medal, but there were some points in Delp's recruitment where he thought he was going to Michigan at first, and then he was going to go to Alabama, and then it was Georgia, then it was South Carolina. I remember his mother telling me that basically she knew when he got the offer from Georgia, in her heart of hearts, she knew that he was going to wind up a Bulldog, even though she's a South Carolina Gamecock alum. The real thing to know here about Delp is that he kind of knew where he wanted to go. He knew where he wanted to go before the visits, but he wanted to see it to fruition. Like his good buddy Dylan Fairchild, now a Georgia Bulldog, his former teammate at West Forsyth, told him to take the visits, take every visit where you think there's a shot. Because there was a point in Fairchild's recruitment when he was sure he was going to go to Auburn, and then he took a visit to Georgia, and then his whole world changed.
Yeah.
And Georgia kind of held serve through all the visits. And really the lightning bolt moment, and if you want to think about how much better the 62-0 win against Vanderbilt could have been, was when he was kind of already been to Georgia for the Clemson game, and he saw that. And then he saw when he was visiting for the South Carolina game as the UAB game, I believe, one of those games for his first actual game visit as a Bulldog. He saw Georgia play South Carolina, and like the first pass went to the top.
And there you go. We just lost Jeff. Let's see if we can get him back on the phone here real quick. We'll end this here pretty quick, but we'll see if we can get Jeff back on the phone. Obviously, sometimes cell phone service a little spotty in those high school cafeterias. A good shot there a moment ago on the screen, too. We saw Delp gather around with some of his high school teammates there. Obviously, a nice moment with them. And if it's not working with Jeff, that's fine. But let's try to get him one more time if we can here. See if we can get a finished final thought from Delp as a lot of folks check in there. You see all kinds of what appears to be West Forsyth students stopping by to enjoy their moment with their classmate who's going to be furthering his education at the University of Georgia, and what a cool thing that is, and what a moment worth celebrating that is there as well. Stephen Brock says, welcome to Young Dog Nation, young man. Maurice Farmer asking about Jeff's coverage. Yeah, boy, always great to have Jeff doing all of this. Shabazz Ali said, did Jeff change his phone? I'm not quite sure about that. William Gleaton also in the subject of Todd Hartley there as well, and the success that Hartley has had. It's been truly amazing. And, I'm not going to practice on a regular basis. There's really not practice availability like there once was. But always a ton of energy from Hartley when he's there at those practices, and a guy that clearly takes that to the recruiting trail with him there as well. Jeff, you were making a point a moment ago of what Delp saw from Georgia when he came to the UAB game. We'll let you finish that point, and then we'll get ready to wrap up with you.
Yeah, guys. So sorry about that.
No worries.
Just dropped off. So like he saw all the usage, and then against like the first pass, the second pass, and then when he saw the Vanderbilt game, wasn't there, but he saw Delp with a rushing touchdown. Delp saw Bowers with a rushing touchdown. He saw Bowers with a couple more touchdowns, and that just kind of just cinched it that, Georgia had told him, wait and see, we're going to show you, but then when they actually showed it to him, it just really all came full circle, and everything he really liked about Georgia, every box was checked, and really, we're going to have a bunch of stories on DogNation.com. We're going to have an interview with Oscar Delp that goes on before the Edges tonight as well.
Great.
But, really, we've got to salute Todd Hartley here on this one. I know Todd Hartley had the Barry Bonds tweet with the GIF when he launched one into the Bay with the commitment of Brock Bowers. I think Delp's commitment here is also very seismic. Georgia wasn't going to recruit a tight end. They were just going to recruit a special player like Oscar Delp for this class. They feel he will play as a freshman, maybe not start. That's a pretty loaded tight end room with Bowers and others, but he thinks he has the capability to play. He sees himself as basically the same type of skilled size athlete as Brock Bowers as well. 6'5", 227, going to be in an early enrollee. It's another homegrown Bulldog. And I tell you what, those coaches in Athens are pumping some fists. This has kind of been known for about a week or two for Coach Hartley and Coach Smart, but now the whole program can go crazy because #Delp is a dog is an actual reality.
Hey, quick last thing for you, Jeff, and obviously you and I have plenty more time to talk about this when you join us on Friday on Dog Nation Daily, and as you said on your own show, Before the Hedge is presented by Kroger, but when you look at what Georgia's done with the tight end position the last couple of years, think about Bowers this year as a freshman. Obviously, no one's the size of Darnell Washington, but how would you compare Delp as a player to what Georgia has utilized at the tight end position as of late?
Yeah, so I think Delp's a guy that's kind of tailor-made to be an inline blocker. I've seen him really maul some guys, but he also has very good speed. He was laser-timed in the high 4.5s. At the opening in the Elite 11 finals this summer out in California. That's a laser time. I think he's going to be a little bit more polished of a route runner than Bowers. I think Bowers is just a superior athlete, great explosion, great speed. I think Delp is more of that glorified receiver, just in a 6'5", 227-pound body. got to remind folks that he really thought until September of his junior year that he was going to be a lacrosse prospect. And really his whole sophomore year, it's a fascinating story. He played mostly cornerback and safety for West Forsyth High School and really just exploded over his junior and senior years with all these offers, more than 35 offers. And I'm going to tell you, folks, this is one of those folks are going to look back on and they should say, I'm going to remember the day that Oscar Delp committed to Georgia. This is going to be one of those days because he's going to have a very bright career in Athens.
All right, Jeff, really good stuff. We'll look forward to seeing more from you on Before the Hedges presented by Kroger tonight. Back on Dog Nation Daily with us on Friday to recap this and looking ahead to another busy weekend for UGA recruiting coming up. So thanks for your insight and thanks for your terrific coverage.
Thanks, man. We'll see everybody on Hedges tonight. Thanks, Brandon.
Good stuff, Jeff, and excellent coverage there at West Forsyth High School as those images continue to pour in. And for all of you who've tuned in tonight, by the way, you see the Kirby Smart tweet there with the Go Dogs, the customary celebration you've come to expect when UGA gets one of these commitments. And to all of you who've been waiting for that tweet in relationship to Delp, now you get that. Delp is a dog. That hashtag comes to full fruition, and that is certainly a reason worth celebrating. And we certainly appreciate you being here with us tonight on this Kroger commitment special as the 4-star tight end Oscar Delp, the number 3 tight end in the country, according to the 24/7 Sports Team Composite, one of the top 100 players in the country and the top 10 players in the state of Georgia. He's made his announcement. It is UGA. It has been a pleasure to bring that to you live here. We will look forward to speaking to you soon around Dog Nation as Georgia is sure to get more big recruiting wins for the 2022 class in the months to come. We'll look forward to talking to you then, everybody. Thanks for being here.